I've been there for 2 years and about 5 months now. And so my whole first year, work-life balance was not a thing.
Yeah.
It was honestly very stressful. Like I didn't even really understand. Like for a while, it was like I didn't even understand if I still wanted to be on that team. That's how much the workload was. But through the pandemic and kind of just finding myself making changes, and then of course we hired people, so I kind of took my work-life balance back, and I made it a point to really focus on my mental health and making sure I take time for myself, which is why I really started getting into the fishing thing heavy and making sure I had time for my family, because really work was just consuming my life, and it's a very toxic thing. It changed who I was as a person, changed how I acted to people. So now, it's cool. Like I work overtime when I want to. I control what's going on with me and around my work schedule and things like that. So I think it's very important. It's something that a lot of, I think, especially like young black men, right, when they're in these positions, they feel like they have to overcompensate, or really like, it's like a chip on the shoulder type of thing where you got to really work twice as hard to get the same recognition. So I think it's important to kind of, be confident and comfortable in yourself, and don't allow those type of ideologies to consume you, because then you won't even care about, the mental health aspect or the life balance thing. So it's really important. Hold on, let me silence my phone.
But you had so first you had touched on like the changes that you had saw like in that first year, like, you mean like, was that like stress, I guess, or?
Yeah, man, I was always stressed out, so like, it was weird. Like, I was just always grumpy or cranky, and like, I wasn't getting enough sleep. So then like, when I be interacting with, my fiance or my son, it would bleed out into that, and that's when it really started to see, like I know that's a problem. I gotta fix that, because like, y'all not even doing nothing crazy or doing anything extra, and I'm just always upset, always tired, always cranky, always grumpy. And I was like, I gotta make a change. I gotta really take the control of my life back, because this ain't gonna work long term.
For me, I was like, I felt I was definitely putting in a lot of time too, but I don't know if, I think it was more so like wanting to like learn. So because I'm in the software engineering program, like a lot of it is just like trying to keep up with what I need to know, as far as just like the different types of like, the ways that you can code certain stuff. And then they got like these things are like big old notation. I've been talking about this to like people for a minute, but like it's different like algorithms that you can use to like, check whether or not like your code is like the most efficient pretty much. But like, I just, I didn't really have that understanding, I guess. So like just trying to like keep up with that, like that was like my main thing. But I don't know if I necessarily like was as stressed. I don't know like how much it was impacting me, like as far as like the stress wise thing. Like I definitely was putting a lot of time into it, but I don't know. That's something that
that's good for real. Like, I mean, even my fiance, she talks about it like, she, like I said, she does the same thing. So she don't really ever be stressed. I mean, sometimes when there's like a release issue or something like that, she got to hop on late or hop on a weekend. But other than that, like for real, during the week, she be coasting. Like I could be like, the way my work is set up, I could get on at 9 o'clock and be nonstop busy from 9 to 5 or 6 or whatever, and not even take lunch.
It is a little different.
She be chilling, she take breaks, she'll go to the park with the sun. Like, I'm just like, yo, I don't even have time for this. Like, on the business side, we just be busy nonstop. So it's definitely a different culture, but.
And that's something that I wanted to talk to you about, because it was a point, I don't know if I necessarily will do it now, but I really wanted to go into the business side of things. So like, I wanted to know, like, I guess what is like, because you said that you're busy like throughout the entire day. So like, what are some of the tasks that you're doing? Like, what are...
So I mean, I'm in the CIB, but I'm in ops. So like, operations is what I tell people all the time. Ops is like really work intensive. It's just.
My bad, you said CIB. So
corporate investment bank. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
the acronym. Always the acronyms. Nobody even knows what those are. So so corporate investment bank operations. I work in equities doing international dividends. So for the most part, right, simply put, day to day, it's claims processing. So we have trading activity, right, with other firms, other big banks, and there's dividends that are owed either to us or to them on the back of those trades, and we process those. So get the money in, get the money out. But that's really like the grand scope of what's going on. But because of my expertise in the line of business, right, I mostly work on what we call exceptions, which are just like things that have issues. So I do like researching for all the things that we have issues, like large breaks that people can't figure out. And a break is kind of like trading activity that we have, like maybe we have some cash and we don't know where it's from or what it goes to, or something around like that type of thing. And I do a lot of research and kind of just trying to figure out those issues and kind of figure out how to prevent them or how to make processes more efficient so that these things can be fixed or flow through easier.
Yeah. What's the research that you do? Like, is that internal? You'll find
it's like, all internal
articles
stuff
and stuff like that. Like, is it? Do y'all use Confluence on the business? I don't even know.
So we don't really use it that much. There may be like, I mean, there's Confluence pages I think around stuff if you having tech issues like internally with firm stuff, but like not really. Not really with the process. That research kind of comes from just general market knowledge, right? Understanding how trades and trading activity things work and understanding how things flow through. So it's really just like root cause analysis type situation most of the time, or just trying to figure out like how something ended up where it is or how it happened the way it happened, so things like that. So it's not really like articles, it's just kind of combining your market knowledge, combining your knowledge of internal firm tools, and just like being creative really, and trying to put things together. So.
Yeah, so I've always, it was a point where I really wanted to go into like the financial side of things, and a part of it was like, you can do finance, right? Like I can get a degree or something in finance, or like a master's degree in finance, and then I can, get into like some type of field, or like I can work for a firm, I can learn a whole bunch of stuff, but like what I learn, I can just like pretty much just venture off and like, maybe start my own firm or something like that.
Yeah, you can definitely apply like everything I know. You can apply it personally. Yeah, definitely.
So like, there's a lot of the stuff that you've been learning, like it, I guess, almost like trickles over into like your personal life, or like you make, certain, I guess, like financial decisions differently. Or
definitely. I think there's like a financial literacy aspect to it. That you definitely understand better than most people, and then, if you ever like get into certain things, like for example, right, like I have a better knowledge around kind of how this trading thing works and kind of like how all that is going on. Now granted, we have a PAD policy, the PAD, which is kind of like it's JP Morgan's control over people who work there trading, like actually trading with stocks. So there's kind of like a stonewall with that. But I mean, you can still build a long-term portfolio, so it definitely helps in that aspect of just understanding what's going on, understand how the market works, understand how the market moves, and then you can make better and more sound decisions with what you want to do in your personal life financially, versus like the average Joe who doesn't, just works at construction or regular stuff. So
and now, well, I don't know if I mean, probably. So on social media, right? Like everybody, like I don't know, it's like a wave right now, and it may just be like a Baltimore thing. I don't know if people are doing it in Delaware, but Forex, people are doing like but it's like, I think they're doing like pyramid schemes more so than it is like actually like Forex, like trading. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I speak on that because I know a lot of people personally who do Forex and crypto and things like that, and it's. What's happening really is there's a lot of these people who are having success in the Forex market because at the end of the day, right, Forex itself is not a scam. Forex is just foreign exchange, right? Like making trades on currency pairs, just swapping out different currencies, making money like that, which is a very valid source of income if you know what you're doing. The issue, I think, is that people found a way to kind of mix MLM, which is multi-level marketing, with the Forex, and it became less of a focus on the Forex, and you got people out here just trying to recruit people, and it's like, that's not what this is about, that's not the whole point.
And then it's like taken away from Forex.
Forex itself, it's kind of making it look something like it's not, when really it's not that. And if people just took the time to really validate, like if you want to get into Forex, there's nothing wrong with that. Find somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Maybe you want to pay for a mentorship. Nothing wrong with paying for a mentorship. That's not a scam, right? If you want to learn a skill that somebody else is good at, there's nothing wrong with paying them for their time. But people got to be careful, because when you get looped into these type of like MLM type Forex companies, and and then they just pushing you to recruit people. You're not even learning how to trade, to really, like, you're not learning what's going on, how to read charts, how to understand the market, why it moves that certain way, how does the news impact the way the money market moves, like, and people just don't get that. So definitely warning to anybody out there who's trying to get into Forex, make sure you do your research on whatever company or person you're getting involved with. And and for me personally, like, I've always been the type of person that if I want to learn something, I just go learn it myself.
You
know, there's too many tools out there, Google, YouTube,
so much, bro.
Internet's in our hand.
Free textbooks.
Yeah, free everything. But yeah, that's usually how I do it. Like, if I want to learn something, I just get out there and learn it myself. And I'll go through the trial and error. I'll take the licks to the chin, but at the end of the day, you know.
Bro, that was my trouble. The trouble that I had with college, right? Like, it was like they wanted me to have structure, you know, as far as like going to class and like you got to go to these lectures. But like, I would go to a lecture and it's either I'm listening to what they're saying or I'm taking notes. But it's hard for me to like do both of them at the same time. So a lot of times what I noticed was that if I read first before I go into the class, then it's a little bit easier. So it's like, all right, I read this chapter, now I know what we're going to discuss. So like, it was almost like I started to think like that. Like, I mean, it was like reinforcing when I went into the classroom because like the teacher's just like, you know, they just going over something that I already kind of have an understanding of. But then it got to a point where it was just like, damn, like, I don't even need to go to class because it's like, I got the book, like, and y'all just teaching me what's in the book. So like, why can't I just, you know, practice this stuff? So like, it was a point where I was like, yo, do I even want to go to class? Like, do I need to go to class? Like, I could just be like, you know, teach this hella leaves. But yeah, so it was like, college is definitely beneficial, but I feel like there should be more, I guess, like leniency when it comes to like, you know, self-teaching yourself, or like, I don't know, like maybe you could like test out of a class before you even, you know what I mean?
Dope. Yeah, I like that because the structure needs to change. I feel like for me specifically, where I went to, so I got out of high school early. I was 17, right? So I went directly to college at 17. I was a kid, man. I was immature. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, nothing. So I went to a big university down in Virginia, VCU. It was dope. All I did was party. I didn't do no work. So I had to get about it. I left there, came back home, did the community college thing.
VCU, is that a HBCU?
No, it's not an HBCU, but you probably heard of it because around the time that I went there, they had went to the Final Four. It was real big. Jeez, smack me. That's gangster leaf just smacked me in my face. They did like a big Final Four thing. Basketball team was real good, so like a lot of people know about them because we so close. But man, it was just a bunch of distractions. So came home, did the community college thing for a little bit, Dean's List, you know. But I really couldn't figure out like what I wanted to do with my life, and I kind of thought to myself like, wasting all this money, keep going back to school, but I don't really know what I want to do. So I was just like, look, I'm gonna leave, stop wasting time until I figure out exactly what it is that I want to do. And been through different odd jobs, worked all kinds of crazy things. Like I did like stocking for stuff where I had to do merchandising. I did roadside assistance, all types of things. And I kind of stumbled for a while until I had my son, which kind of made me like want to put it into a high gear and figure out what's really going on. So I got into this program called Year Up, and that's how I got my internship at JP Morgan. And then like when I was in my internship, it was supposed to be 6 months, 2 months in there, like, yo, we want to hire you. So converted early. And
what was you doing to do that?
I was going hard, man. Yeah, like I just, I don't know, man. I just really, like, I was a quick learner. I picked up everything. I added value to the team, you know what I'm saying? I made sure to always go above and beyond and always make sure, like, that try to help or just try to find a way to add value. And I think that was, like, really the main thing.
And that's what, so, my bad, I know I cut you off because you was talking about, like, you know, that path from Year Up to, but I wanted to talk about what you had just said. You said, you know, like, you was adding value to the team and, like, you know, you was putting in the work, but, like, what does that look like a day? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I think, like, we'll hear somebody say, like, you know, like, you gotta, you know, put your head down, you gotta just grind it out, you know, or you might hear somebody say, like, you know, you gotta add value to the team. But, like, what are those attributes, or, like, what are those things that you did, you know what I mean, that, like, gave you that, you know?
I think when we say add value to the team, it's a nice blanket statement because context, to me at least personally, context is important in any situation. So what does adding value look like? All depends on the context of your situation, you know, whatever job that is you're doing, or maybe not even just a job, it could be anything, a sports team or whatever. So, but for me specifically, you know, when I would get in early, you know what I'm saying, before anybody else, so people always see me there first.
Yeah,
it's just
I had it. My bad.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
It was a CEO. He's a black CEO of this bank. It's called Harvard Bank Shares of Maryland, I think that's the name of it. But that was like one of the main advice that he gave to me: be the first and then the last out.
Yeah.
That's definitely key.
Yeah, and it doesn't always work that way, but it's nice. Like when people see you there early, it automatically.
Like they just have that, like
like you painting a picture, that perception.
Yeah.
So automatically, it's like, oh, this guy's always in here early. He's a hard worker. Or this guy's always in here early. He's dedicated. So now people are seeing this picture of you, and maybe, you know, especially for me, because, you know, you see my look. I got tattoos on my face, tattoos everywhere. It's like I'm starting to change a narrative now. So once we change the narrative and we paint a picture and we have this perception, now you got to follow up with the actions. So it's like, okay, cool. We have a morning meeting. Every time we go to the morning meeting, I'm making sure I'm either saying a statement or asking a question that adds value. Not just some BS, not just anything. I'm really going to say something articulate and well thought out. And you know, that's important because people notice that. Senior management notices that. Teammates notice that. And then from there, it's like anything they assign to me, right? I think this is something people look over. It's really important to have self-accountability. Right, like too many times I feel like people can be at the job and be like, oh, I got this deadline, or they wanted me to do this today, but I couldn't get to this, whatever. Like, nah, like if somebody gives you something to do and you say, yeah, I can get it done, you gotta get it done. Because now we're still adding to the character, still adding to the picture, right? Like you adding value anytime you're around your teammates, you showing all these attributes, and then now if you deliver every time you say you're gonna deliver, now you're reliable. Now the people can count on you. And that's important because a lot of times not everybody is reliable, so that's a really good attribute to have.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, right, like after you adding all these things, cool, you do your regular work during the day, and you know, you get through everything. Maybe you're done. Maybe you get done a little early. You know, you clock out at 5. Maybe you got done your work at 3:30. Don't leave. Don't just BS around or, you know, play around. Maybe your team may be struggling with something. Maybe your manager has too much on their plate and you can help with something. Go find out. Go ask. Go inquire about these things. Or is there any trainings I can do? Anything I should, you know, read up on? Anything that I should learn about that would add value to the team? And then when we combine all these things, right, you kind of get this picture of what any company would want, what any manager, a person that any manager would want to hire. And that's kind of what tipped it over for me, right? I took all the great things, put them together in a nice little package and delivered it every single day, no matter if I was tired, no matter if I didn't get enough sleep last night, no matter if I was upset, no matter if I didn't want to do it. I delivered this package every day, and it was undeniable.
Damn, that's tough. Yeah, that's definitely that's some clarity, bro. But so you had said, so it was year up, and then you got in early. And then I guess like what was it like, you know, I guess transitioning, just getting into the role and everything like that? And
I'm not gonna lie, for a while I felt a little bit like, what's the word for it? Like just a little, like, not scared, but like I was nervous that I wouldn't stack up. Because when I was in internship, like, yeah, I went hard, but there's certain things that I wasn't able to do because I was an intern. And you know that once you transition into that full-time role, everything is real. Like, so you can do everything. So I had to add a lot of stuff to my plate. I had to learn a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
But I really just applied the same principles that I applied in the internship, and kind of the same outcome. You know, I learned the stuff, I figured it out, and I made it happen. And it was rough at first, but I think through a little bit of time and just getting, you know, more comfortable as the time goes on, I kind of gained that confidence. Like, look, I can rock with the rest of them. I can carry my weight, and I'm here because I'm supposed to be here, because I belong here, because they want me here. And yeah, that kind of, once that happened, it was like, yeah, I'm here. Like, it doesn't even matter now.
Yeah. You had mentioned one thing, and I wanted to talk about it, but I feel like it's on LinkedIn. You see it like sometimes, and I think it's probably in, like, you know, Instagram or whatever. But it's always those pictures where it's like a doctor and he's like, tatted up.
Oh yeah,
and they, like first they might show the picture of them just like with their tattoos, but then they'll show them with like their lab coat on or something like that. And it's like, your perception of this person, like why, like is it okay to have like certain, tattoos or like, and then they were like a lot of people they talk about, like diversity and inclusion when it comes to like tribal, even like when it comes to like thing like tribal like face tattoos and stuff like that. But like, well, I guess like what is one thing that I wanted to talk about was just like how you've been like, so you had mentioned like not like sort of defining that narrative, you know what I mean, like when it comes to like having face tattoos or like just being black, in general.
Yeah.
Black. So like like I guess like how do you feel like it's impacted you, or like do you feel like there's anything that you have to do that's extra because you have it, or like, and just like how you feel about it now? Like I feel like people are being a little bit more open to it now because it's like people are just aware that like you can be like articulate, you can learn, you can have the same intellectual capacity as anybody else regardless of like if you have tattoos or if you don't have tattoos. So
100%. I think as far as how it impacted me, it was more of my own self. Like before I went to internship, I was really scared. Like I was like, yo, like maybe I need to put some makeup on for real, cover these things up just so I can get through this internship. But I talked to like some colleagues, I talked to some friends of mine, I talked to some staff in the program, and they all kind of came to the conclusion, because like at the time I was top like in the class, so they're like, look, you got to go in there and be yourself and let your work speak for yourself, because we know who you are, you know who you are, and that's the only thing that's going to matter. And I took a hard think about it, and I decided, all right, cool, that's what I'm going to do, and I did that. And it's like, for real, my team, when I got there, they were like, it was like a big family. Very inclusive. Nobody made me feel weird. Nobody made me like feel like they're judging me or anything like that. It was just more about like I said, my internal self. But through that, I really never had no issues with the tattoos. I think maybe like one person said something a little slick one time, but I mean that's whatever. People are people, right? Like people are gonna have their opinions. But now I feel like, because of the position I'm in and what I'm doing looking like this, I have a greater responsibility to not only other people that look like me, but other people who just want to be in this type of position and either come from where I come from, have the same skin color as me, have tattoos like me, right? And it's like, I gotta keep breaking barriers and being greater and greater in this industry looking like this, because people look up to that and people find inspiration in that. So that I kind of had this like, I don't want to say a chip, but I just have this like feeling of responsibility about doing great things in this industry and continuing to break barriers, because at the end of the day, right, what I have on my body, whether you feel like it's professional or not, has nothing to do with my professionalism. Has nothing to do with the way I can do my job. Has nothing to do with the way I can interact with clients or people, and I prove that every day. So I think it's important to continue to show that, so that people can see like, it doesn't really matter. Like, we talking about getting the job done. And to the company, right, the most important thing is getting the job done efficiently, effectively, and making it better and doing the right things. And if you can do that, then that's what should be most important. So I strive to kind of exemplify that in every aspect of my life.
Yeah, that's what's up. And since we on like that topic, it was another thing that I was talking to with one of my mentors, and it was just mainly like stereotypes or like bias, just when it comes to like, okay, so right now it feels like a lot of stuff is like really, I hate to use the word, but some things feel divided, you know what I mean, when it comes to like just the direction that we are going in, and when it comes to like political stuff, like Democrat, you got Republican, or you got like super left wing or super right wing, like those type of things. But I was talking to my coworker, and I was just wondering like if it was just me that I was feeling it, like when it comes to like race. So like, of course, like you have, I mean, it's a great thing, as far as like diversity and inclusion, like making sure there's opportunities where like black people and, colored people can like or people from like lower incomes, whatever demographic that are like, marginalized or like put into these certain spaces where they can't necessarily like do as well because they just, they don't have the resources. So like giving those resources is definitely important to like, level the playing field. But I also feel like there's this, it's an idea almost that's like causing, for me personally, I think like it was a point where, like I'm like support everything black, but like I'm forgetting that like I can also learn and like I can also like grow myself if I like, talk to other people that are of different races, you know what I mean?
Of course.
But like I don't know if like the direction that we are going in is like touching on that as well, you know what I mean? Like if it's like as inclusive, and a lot of times it just feels like we just dividing it rather than like, finding that like finding that commonality, like even if somebody's a Republican or if somebody's a Democrat or if somebody's like, if they have these thoughts, like regardless, like we can, you know what I mean, like kind of merge together. Like I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I think to touch on that, like on a broader scale, right, is that I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but division at its root is a aspect of control, right? So the reason there's so much division in the world is because it makes things easy to control. And I don't want to go too deep in that, but I just wanted to say that at first. And I definitely agree with you, right? It's like we're doing so much to try to be inclusive that the inclusive becomes separate. It's almost like, I don't need special treatment. And that's kind of what it seems like it's pushing to. They're doing so much that it's almost like, wow, it's like you, instead of a hand up, you're giving a handout almost. And that's a thin line and there's an important difference. It's like we definitely, or I guess, people of color, people of lower income, like you said, they definitely need the resources, but they just need a hand up. They don't need you to spoon feed them everything and put them in this like weird position where it's like, it's kind of good. Like, so, all right, so I'll touch on it like this. After I got out of Europe, right, me and my fiance, we got out, graduated, got the jobs, whatever. We started, they started having us do like a lot of media opportunities, like literally.
I read one of them.
Europe, JP Morgan. We did Delaware Business Times multiple times. We did Fox News. We did NBC News, and we did one other one. And it's like they were pushing us because we're it's like such a good model for this diversity and inclusion thing. But it became to a point where I started to feel like it's like propaganda almost. Like you're doing too much. Like it's cool that we did this, but like anybody can do this. It's not that crazy of a story. I know it can be inspirational for people, and I appreciate that, which is why I like to do those type of things. But it kind of feels like what you were saying sometimes, and it's like I think it's hard because the line is so thin. Right? Like you easily can cross over, and it's hard to kind of teeter on it, but I think it's important for people to start once we get to this point where we feel like things are starting to be a little better, I think it's definitely important that we circle back and kind of just bring this cohesion into it, because there doesn't have to be all these phrases and words of division and things that divide us, because at the end of the day, right, like we're all one human race. And
that's right.
Yeah, like our views, our opinions don't have to like, they're just our opinions. They're just our views. They don't have to have such a chokehold on us, right? Where it's like, oh wow, you think that? I can't be around you. I don't want to. That should have nothing to do with our interaction. If we can gain value from each other, that's really all that matters. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? If there's something we're interested in or something we can converse on or relate on, that's what we should focus on instead of focusing on all the things that make us different, because there's honestly more things that make us the same than that make us different. We all breathe air. We all have red blood in our bodies, you know what I'm saying? We all put our pants on one leg at a time. We all wake up in the morning and gotta go to a job or whatever, or maybe not everybody, but you know what I'm saying, like for the most part. So it's like, I think people definitely as a whole gotta start focusing on those things and just try to be better people. You know? Every day you wake up, just try to be a good person. Like everybody woke up, was like, I'm gonna be a good person today, the world will be a better place.
Yeah, definitely, bro. And I feel like maybe we should do more, as far as just like getting rid of bias and like those stereotypes, because I mean, like, we do have, like, you know, we go into, you see somebody, you might have had an experience, right? Like a white person might have had an experience where, like, they were walking down the street, they had a purse, and somebody might have grabbed your purse and, like, you know, ran off with it. But, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that every single, and it might have been a black person that did it, but that doesn't mean that every single black person that you walk past down the street
trying to grab your purse.
trying
Yeah,
to grab
facts.
your purse. You know what I mean? But, like, I don't know. It's just like, I think we got to do, you know, a little bit better with just, like, understanding, like what you were just talking about. Like, we are human, and, like, you know, of course, like, there are historical, like, scenarios where, you know, black people or, like, other, you know, other groups of people as well. But I'm thinking about black people just as far as, like, slavery and, like, what's it called, segregation, like, all of those things. So, like, you know, there was definitely a time where we weren't, we didn't have the same opportunities. We didn't have the same, you know, like, ability to, you know, be able to get into certain spaces that, like, you know, other people are in. But just, like, yeah, I don't know, bro. That was just something, like, I'm like, I want to think more on it, just as far as, like, you know, a better way to, like, just eliminate, you know, bias, I guess.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think it's funny that you said that, because it's something I try to do in my life a lot, right? Because I think people don't understand that the bias and stereotypes is just, it's like, it's the human psychology, right? It's like, it's hard to escape from it, because we're so easily
naturally
creatures of habit that when we experience or we see things,
recognize patterns.
yeah,
like,
our brain just
to, like,
wants to
make a
recognize
connection.
patterns, and we almost we put those patterns onto things because it makes things easier to understand. So, like,
that's
it makes
true.
life easier to operate. So it's much easier for, let's say, a white person, right? Let's say they either seen or experienced something negative with a black person. It's much easier for them to say, let me apply this to all black people and be, I guess, on the air of caution to feel like they're protecting themselves versus treating every person as an individual experience. It's hard work. People are lazy, and it's not lazy in the way of purposeful. It's all subconscious. Our brain just wants things to be easy. Like, it's easier for the brain to do less work. So that's how, to me, that's how I feel like those things work. And it's like, it's important, again, to try to treat everything like an individual experience. Like, we're all here having a human experience, and every interaction should be an individual experience where you learn something. So for me personally, right, like I said, you know, I just recently got over the COVID and everything. I was in a hospital in the emergency room because my pulse ox was low, and I was trying to go get checked out and make sure I was cool. And in there was an old white dude and like his caretaker, and they wanted to get something from the vending machine, right? And mind you, I mean, I look how I look, but I was dressed in street clothes, so I probably look a little more even, you know what I'm saying? And they only had like a $20 bill, and the thing wasn't giving them change. Like, it won't give you change. So they're all, you know, everybody's in there stressed out. We all been in there for a long time. They hungry, whatever. So I look at them like, hey, what's wrong? Like, they like, yeah, we trying to get something. I said, okay, cool. Like, I got it. We can use my card. Don't even worry about it. So I used the card, paid for whatever they wanted, and then they was trying to give me the money back. I'm like, no, I don't need it. I'm good. And like, I could tell, like, no offense to anybody, but that old white man, he was distraught. Like, he didn't understand. Like, yo, this.
Like, you confused.
Like, you confuse him, and it's like individual interaction. Now, because I did that, because he had that experience with me,
He might.
hopefully when he goes to the next person, he gives them the benefit of the doubt, or, you know, he changes the way he interacts with people. And I try to do that as much as I can, because people don't understand that changing the world starts with yourself. You gotta change yourself. And if, as an individual, me, you, whoever else is watching this, sees this, takes every interaction and treats it individually and tries to take the bias out of it, you'll be surprised about the things you experience, the things you see, the way you touch people, the way you affect people. And it's like, you know, each one teach one, pass it on type of thing. It works. I think it's important, man.
Definitely. And I touched on that, like, as far as the older guy, but even down to, like, you know, what somebody might be taught from their parents or, like, their family. You know what I mean? Like, you might have been, like, early on at a young age, you know, somebody is giving you, like, feeding you those stereotypes, or feeding you certain biases. You know what I mean? Like, like, don't like black people. You know what I mean? Or something, you know, it's just anything. But it's just like, you know, like, even down to that, like, knowing, like, oh, wait a minute, like, that was my grandfather that was telling me that. Like, that don't necessarily mean that it's true. You know what I mean? Or, like, you know, even down to those, like,
that's funny too, because, like, a lot of things I think that our generation is battling is from the zeitgeist of that era. You know what I mean? It's like that was the times. That's just what it was. And again, that goes back to the context of certain things. And it's like a lot of people that were like indoctrinated into hate, right? They got to reprogram themselves. And it's hard. And some people do it, some people don't. But again, back to what I said about that individual interactions, those are the type of things that can really help with the reprogramming of people. That's why it's so important that we have like not only self-awareness, but like emotional IQ.
I think it's like might be like I think you got it. It was like a little
bug or
something. Yeah.
Like, so like, you know, emotional IQ and self-awareness is really important on the individual level, because those are the things that can really help change perceptions and change biases and stereotypes with any kind of people, between any kind of people. And it's, I don't know, people just don't understand the responsibility that they have. Like, we have a huge responsibility of self. Everything begins with the self. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you have a negative interaction, you want to get mad, you want to cuss somebody out, you want to knock them out, you want to do whatever. It's like, nah, just be self-aware, rake that in. That's the reaction they want. That's what they're looking for, because it proves a point. It proves the stereotype, it proves the bias, and people don't think about things this way. And it's like, we really, I think as a people, have to really focus on ourselves and the way we think and the way we move, because that will trickle down and change the way people see us. And obviously, I'm not trying to oversimplify a very complicated issue,
Sure.
but I mean, that's not gonna hurt. I mean, if we look at it from that way, if we approach it from that way, it's definitely not gonna hurt. So that's my advice to anybody. Like, really try to, as you go through life, try to focus on being self-aware and your own individual thoughts and feelings and how you act, and I promise you, you start seeing a change in things around you. Because, you know, everything's vibrations, it's all frequency. They prove it, right? Everything's made out of atoms. All those things are bouncing off each other, going out into the world. So you change your frequency, you vibrate higher, right? Like, then you'll attract those things, and people around you and the things around you will start to vibrate higher as well.
Yeah, that's deep. What, I guess, where'd you get that perspective from? Or like, how'd you even, you know, come to that point? Like, where you was paying attention to yourself?
Yeah, long time, man. Kind of started when I was younger, so like, think up until I was about 12, I was a Jehovah's Witness, like in the church heavy and kind of doing a lot of things. And when I turned 13, I kind of felt like I need to experience more. I need to see more. So I kind of went on, like, I don't know, I was pretty young to call it a spiritual journey, but you know, I just started studying a lot of things, reading a lot of books, reading a lot of different ideologies, religions, or concepts, and just kind of, you know, kind of put myself in the shoes of other people and just understand things on a broader scale. And you know, experiences and things. I travel a lot, you know, been to a lot of different places, experienced a lot of different people, different situations. It's all a combination of just everything, and then just truly having a deep want to be a better person. Because, you know, now in my life, I'm not so religious. I'm more, I just believe, like,
spiritual more so?
Yeah, more so spiritual, and just like, regardless of what is the truth or what is the right answer, right? Like, I think it all comes down to what everybody is trying to teach us. How you doing, sir? Trying to teach is be good. Like, that's the general concept across the board.
Definitely.
So wake up and be good. Like, we're not, we're innately moral. Like, we know what's right and what's wrong. So wake up and be good. You know, do better things. Be better to people. And I focus on that every day. And it's not easy every day. Some days I just want to be, you know, some days I'm not feeling it. Like, but that's where it's funny, because this is a new concept. It's like, that's where it comes into the discipline. You have to be disciplined, and that's something that a lot of successful people talk about. Is like, they're not successful because they're motivated. They're not successful really because they want to be. They're successful because they're disciplined. They do things that they don't want to do.
They might do the same shit every day.
Like, you got to do it just because it's what you're supposed to do, because it needs to get done, because it's the right thing to do, and you have to be disciplined in that. So,
bro, I was just talking to my girl about, like, the challenge of, so, like, you know, now, you know, we talk a lot about, like, mental health, and we want people to, you know, be, like, really aware, like, how they're feeling. But it's challenging for me, because when I think of, like, how I'm feeling versus, like, discipline, it's kind of hard to, like, make that, like, how to distinguish the two. So it's like I know that I need to be disciplined. So like I might have an assignment.
Mm-hmm.
My feelings are telling me like I don't feel like doing it. Like I'm stressed out, or maybe not even stressed out. I might just be tired, or like I might be feeling sad. I don't know. Like I might be feeling a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So like I guess it's almost like maybe I don't know if that's what they're teaching, but it just feels like I need to go with my emotion rather than going with the discipline side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And like putting that aside and just like getting what needs to be done done. You know what I mean? Like do you feel like what's your thoughts on that? You know what I mean?
That's another one of those thin line concepts, and
Yeah.
it's funny because a lot of things with us, like with humans in general, it's very thin line concepts, right? Because on one hand, yes, mental health is very important. Like you don't want to overwork yourself or blow yourself out over the assignment or over the deadline or whatever it is. But at the same time, like I said earlier, you have a responsibility, and there's a discipline aspect in it too. Like this needs to get done. So it's like you kind of have to try to treat yourself. I think for people like in our industry, like corporate, we have to treat ourselves like a business, right?
Yeah.
And it comes down to the fact like you need to get it done. There's nothing wrong. Like let's say when we say mental health, it doesn't mean shark it off. It doesn't mean you feel bad today, so you're not gonna work on it at all.
Yeah.
What that means is you may wake up, take an extra 30 minutes to an hour. Work on it a little bit. Work on it for 2 hours. Then go take a walk. Go to the park. Decompress. De-stress. Don't just wake up and work on it for 14 hours until you're burnt out and then you gotta fall asleep at your desk.
Yeah.
That's toxic. It's not gonna. You most likely, number one, assignment's not gonna be good, and you're gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna stress yourself out even more. But then you gotta be careful when I say it's a thin line, because if you just shark it off in the name of mental health, that's the same result. You know what I mean? You didn't get it done. Now you're more stressed out again. So you really didn't take care of your mental health by sharking it off, because now this is created a different problem. So that's the thin line. Like you gotta be strategic. You know what I mean? That's why I say you gotta treat yourself like a business, because everything we do needs to be tactical, well thought out, and strategic.
Hell yeah.
And not all the time, not with everything, but I think that's important as well, man.
That was something that I was thinking about recently too. Like when thinking of yourself as a business, and like especially like what in corporate and like what we're doing, like you're doing finance, I'm doing software, like we can take those skill sets that we are like building now, and we can just like put it anywhere, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like I am a business in myself.
Exactly.
Because like the skills that I have and like what I can apply, or like what I can like offer to like a company or wherever I'm going, like I'm a valuable asset, because like these, but I was thinking about just like thinking of myself as like Apple, or like thinking of myself as what I mean, like
I don't know, you go by Tim. So Tim, that's your personal brand. Tim Incorporated. That's you. Whatever you do, how you sell yourself, your package, it's a business. It's a business. Like that's why you get hired. They're gonna pay you. Whatever. It's like you really gotta like. I don't want to say sell yourself, but you want to present yourself in the most valuable way as possible, because that's what you are. That's what we're doing. Like
somebody buy your iPhone that's glitching as soon as you pick it up. You know what I mean?
You throw that thing in the truck, chuck that thing. So people got to look at it like that too, especially because it's important, especially in this new world that we're in. Right? It's not like as simple as it was in the '80s, where you're just punching a time card, where we're just strictly trading time for hours. Yeah, we still trade time for hours, but there's like a growth and continue to adding value to yourself aspect of it now, with the push for all this smart technology, and the push for, like, especially for us in the business, there's a huge push for us to become what they call business engineers, right? So that's like consistently we're doing processes, we're doing things, and we understand it better than anybody. We understand it better than the people that they put on the tech team to try to help fix it. Right, So it's, excuse me.
You good. Okay.
So we gotta they want us to be able to learn certain tools and certain things so that we can improve the processes, so that we don't have to go out to a tech team or this person or that person or outsource something. And it's like companies more and more now are wanting people to have these hard skills that makes them business engineers, and that even more adds to the aspect of your own brand and you being a business in yourself, because when you learn these things, when you develop these things, you know, you have leverage now. And it's like, you can go into an interview and say, look, I'm not taking anything less than this amount of money. This is why. This is, you can look at what I have on paper. This is what I can do for you. And you either going to meet those requirements or somebody else will.
Yeah.
And that's important for us to have, because before, like, you know, if you didn't have a degree or whatever, you couldn't do that. But now it's just the fast-paced, changing environment, man. People got to get with the time. So it's cool. Like, I know you talk about wanting to be in the business, and honestly, I think a good place for you if you want to do that is kind of being what we call like a liaison between the business and tech, which is a person who kind of has that tech kind of background, but they work for the business to bring, like, almost like a project manager type thing, where they work for the business to explain and identify the needs of the business to the tech teams and kind of oversee that process and bring it to fruition.
What's the name of that role?
I will find out for you, because it's a dope role, bro. Yeah. You'd probably like that. So I'll find out about that for you and make sure I get you that information. But it's like, you got really important skills, bro. That's the one thing about now, like this tech stuff and being able to code, or even like coding. Like for me, like I know how to use Alteryx, right? And I can build process improvements through Alteryx workflows, and that's such a valuable skill. So these tech skills are just really, they put wings on the backs and batteries on the backs, because you can take it and do anything. I mean, even independent contracting or just doing your thing on the side, it's so important. So yeah, like, just to close that point off, really, people got to start thinking of themselves like a business and doing the things that businesses do to improve their companies. Do those same type of things to improve yourself. And just keep adding value to yourself so you can be an asset, because it's one thing, man, you do not want to be a liability in this fast-paced world.
Yeah, for sure.
For a fact.
Bro, I feel like we were talking about something, but I think I had like cut you off when we started talking about this. But I think I know that we were talking about spirituality, but then there was something else that we had like, you was getting into something, and I feel like I missed out on something. I
don't even know.
I don't remember what it was.
I mean, we're having a good convo, man. It's cool. I don't even remember. Hopefully it'll spin back.
But yeah. But now that you like, so you were talking about like when you were 13 and like going through that transition where you like started to study were you like, you was like picking up books like on your own, just reading, like?
Yeah, like I looked into Buddhism, looked into like Judaism, Islam, just understanding different religions, and then of course like different spiritual books, learning about meditation and yoga and Tai Chi. And
damn, wait, when was like high school, middle school? That's what
like I started high school. What people start high school at 14, right? Yeah. I started high school at like 13, turning 14.
Did you skip a grade, or like you came?
I started. So I tested when I was 3. I tested into kindergarten. So you're not supposed to be able to start kindergarten until I think till like 4 or 5 or something like that. But I tested in early, so I just was always a year younger than everybody. So I didn't really skip a grade, but I just was able to, I don't know, be younger. So
well, I mean, shit, like it seems like, I mean, although you know, like you had some challenges, like, you know, up to getting into where you are now, but like. Seems like you had like, you know, a little bit of like just in you, like, you know.
Yeah. Nah, definitely, man. I was always like a super bright kid and articulate, and I think I just always looked at the world different. I never kind of had a closed off view on the world. It was always like I had a lot of positive and good influences in my life that really, like at a young age, like I said, I traveled a lot. So it really opened my mind to like the world is, I think, an issue that a lot of people have, especially young black men who come from low income areas or families or whatever, is that the view of the world is very closed off. And what I think a closed view of the world does, it increases like the importance of self, but in a negative way.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. So it does that in a negative way. Whereas my broad view of the world and being able to see that the world is bigger than myself, bigger to see that it's bigger than my 3 streets or my block. It just opened my mind. And when you have such a closed off view, that's all you know. You don't even think about anything else, like out of sight, out of mind. I got friends who've never left the hood, like ever. And I've been to all different, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Mexico. I've traveled all around the United States. I've been to Canada, seen the Niagara Falls, all types of stuff. And those things allow me to understand that, you know, I'm just a small piece of a big puzzle. And I think it's important to understand that concept from a young age because that allowed me to navigate and operate differently. And that's why I felt like even at a young age, it was so important to me to try to understand a lot of things. And I've always been like that. Like when I was a kid, I used to take stuff apart in the house and try to put it back together just because I wanted to know how things worked and figure out how things were. So I always had like this natural curiosity to understand. And that kind of pushed me to be unorthodox, to be different and kind of not just take things for what they are, right? Like not just listen to people because they say something. I always want to dig and see for myself. So that kind of aided in my journey and wanting to learn. And you know, not everybody's like that. But I think especially as we become the adults, people got to really try to be, you know, really try to branch out and understand and kind of expose themselves to different things because it's going to change you in a positive way. And it also gave me this drive, like I said, it goes back into just being a good person. Because when I'm learning all this stuff and understanding all this stuff, I'm kind of start to put together why things are so messed up a lot of ways. And then and kind of when you can see that and understand that, again, pushes you to try to just be good, be better, be a more positive influence, things like that. So
you had touched on having like, you know, broadening your horizons and like, you know, being able to see outside of like, you know, your block or like being able to see outside of like the thinking of your community. I think that's like a big thing for me too. Like and it might have been from traveling. Like my parents, like they definitely like they were like I don't know. I guess they just I don't know what. That's a question that I probably could ask them. But just as far as like their interest in traveling, so like they were like they wanted to travel, so like we just like kind of went along with them. But that might also open my horizons. But like just as far as like the thinking as well. So I don't know if you had like a similar experience, but like it's almost like certain things are cool within the community, you know what I mean? So it's like if you do anything that's outside of what is like defined as like, and not even defined, it's just like this like it's an invisible
like it's like everybody knows it but nobody said it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's those things where it's like, all right, like if you're doing this, then like that's not really cool. And that's why I was like kind of like, damn, like you was 13 reading and you know like
I was doing all the uncool shit, but it's crazy because I was always a cool kid, but I always did all the uncool shit. I mean, of course I played sports and I did this, that, and that. Like I used to make music when I was younger, but like always did uncool shit. And for me, I'm glad you brought that up because it's a very important point. When we're analyzing and assessing things, right, like especially about where you want to be in life, I've always understood that I'm not going to take advice about things from someone who is not where I want to see myself in life. It's very important. People are not taught that. Even when it comes to your parents, like you got to listen to your parents to a certain point, but as you get older, if your parents aren't in the position that you want to be in, at the point you got to stop taking advice from them because they can only give you enough to get you where they are. And if you don't want to be there and you want to surpass that, you got to go find that somewhere else. And that's why it's important to have mentorship, especially for young black men, because most young black men from impoverished or low-income areas don't have influences in their life of where they want to be or where they see themselves. Like, so the people around you cannot give you the proper knowledge, proper tools to obtain these things. So it's like, you really got to go out there and find somebody or find some people who either are where you want to be or close to it, and start interacting and talking with them and understanding how they did it and what's going on and how you can obtain it. And I kind of lost my point in that, but damn, what was the what?
It was mainly like, I know we were talking about, you know, just like being like the community, like as far as
cool. So that's what I'm saying. So thank you. So when you tie it all back, it's like we have this unsaid thing of what's cool, but like, bro, all that cool shit y'all doing, it never got nobody where I want to be. Like all the cool niggas from the hood that's old now, they not making hella money. They not traveling around the world. They not driving super crazy nice cars.
Even having a peace of mind. You know what I mean?
Even being able to have something like worth something, like a nice family situation with a crib, whatever. Like y'all don't got nothing. So for real, that cool shit, y'all can keep it. Cool didn't do nothing. Y'all gonna be 45 in the club, still trying to be cool, doing nothing for yourself.
Yeah.
I have no interest in that. So I started doing uncool things. You know what I mean? Like, cause that was reading books, not cool.
Yeah.
All successful rich people read books.
Yeah.
So I need to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like getting up, I get up every day, 5:30 in the morning. I don't care.
For real.
Yeah.
Shit,
And most of the time I'm going fishing that early, getting active. Most people not doing that because that's not cool. I don't want to sleep in. What do you mean? But rich, successful people, they're not sleeping in. They're getting up and getting to it. Whatever getting to it is for them, they're doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta change your habits, change your actions based off what you want to get out of this world. It's like a big video game, man. Like you only gonna get out what you put in. It's very seldom that the pendulum swings the other way, where like somebody's putting in all this work and doing all this stuff and they don't get nothing out of it, or the opposite, where people not doing anything and then they just get rich or get famous or whatever. For the most part, for most regular people, bro, you got to put in what you want to get out. So put it in every day and stop listening to people who not where you want to be. You know, they gonna send you to where they at or worse.
Yeah.
So that's a big takeaway for me. It's something I apply every day.
My bad. I know I want to talk on a couple of those points that you made, but one thing that you just said was, you know, waking up early. Did you how late do you stay up? You know what I mean? Like
yeah, people always say it's funny. So I'm not gonna lie. I try to get to bed by like 11:30, 12. I try. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 though. And don't get me wrong, those nights where I'm going to sleep at 1 or 2 and my alarm goes off at 5 o'clock so I could be out on the water by 5:30. Sometimes I stare at the ceiling, tell myself I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I'm tripping. I need to go back to sleep. But then again, that ties back into the discipline, right? Like, it's not because I want to get up. It's not because I'm motivated to get up. It's because I need to get up. So get my ass up.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
Man, that's tough. And then what you were talking about was books. So like successful people read books. Like it was a point when I was in it must have been high school. Matter of fact, I think it might have been like 7th grade to like 8th grade. It was like, you know, like reading wasn't cool. Like, you know, like fuck books. Like, you know what I mean? But and you know, like as far as even being able to spend that time, so like, you know, your homeboys, they might call you to be like, yeah, like come out, like we outside. But you know, like you'd be like, nah, bro, I'm reading. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, what?
You what, bro?
You reading? But it was that point where like I think for me reading and like finding those like books, like I think I read like it might have been like early in high school. I might have read like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Great book.
Read like just like books on. I feel like although I don't necessarily put a lot of it in I don't practice a lot of it now, but The Secret was like one of those books that I came across where it was like, you know, what you think about, what you put your energy into, you can like bring it to yourself. You can manifest it. So if you imagine things, like if you picture yourself doing certain things, you can like pretty much bring it to you. So I think like I have put like some of that in practice, but like some of it now, like I don't necessarily do it. But I will say that like at a young age, like high school, it was like I did imagine myself in a corporate role, like, and like I was like, all right, like, well, I want to be this person because, you know, it was like I'm jumping, but you know, there's like the cool things in, you know, in most communities, you know what I mean? Like you can either like play sports, you can like, you know, rap, I guess, or like you can be a drug dealer, you know what I mean? But like the cooler thing, like as far as, you know, like going corporate and like reading, like becoming a, you know, you're becoming a geek, you know what I mean? Like you're becoming a square technically, like if you like, you know, spending your time doing these things. But like I think that was reading and stuff like that, and like, oh, my fault, I was talking about The Secret. So The Secret, that taught me like to think of myself in these roles, or like think of myself in this position already. So like I was imagining myself as the person that was like writing those books, like, okay, what are those people doing? So I started like looking at, I think I used to go on like Wikipedia, or like Google, like just CEOs, like billionaires. I would be like, you know, like what is a billionaire's routine, or like what do billionaires do on their day, you know what I mean? Or like what schools did they go to? What were they doing when they were younger? And it was like, you know, a lot of similarities with their stories. I don't even know where I was going with that, but pretty much like the coolness, I think I had, I don't even remember
It's alright. I'll touch on the point that you made, like, right?
Yeah.
So you talked about The Secret, and you said how now that you're older, you don't really apply those things or as much or not at all. But it's funny because I disagree. I think even in this conversation, right? Like, yeah, you're not necessarily imagining things or having these fantasies about places where you want to see yourself, but subconsciously, we're always manifesting.
That's
right?
true.
You're always attracting. So, you know, you talked about how maybe you could see yourself in a finance role, and all of a sudden, boom, bam, I explained a role to you that I thought would be perfect fit, and now I'm gonna go get that information for you. You just manifested that. I don't know how long you've been manifesting that for, but subconsciously, right? That's what that is, and I think that's in a way, kind of way connects those things, even from childhood. Like that stuff, it stays with us, man, and like all the things you experience stays with you, and I think it kind of culminates all into a lot of things that we do on the low that we don't even think about, that we don't even register consciously in the here and now. And you know, it's kind of like what is it, when you were talking about the cool stuff, and like, you know, everybody wants to be a rapper or a ball player or a drug dealer or whatever, and it's like, that's cool, don't get me wrong, nobody's saying don't chase your dreams. Like I used to want to be a rapper. I made good music. I've been cool with some of the biggest artists that are people's favorite artists right now.
And yeah, matter of fact, let me like clear, because I wasn't like bashing it.
Oh yeah, no.
It's more so like, you know, like as far as us being able to have, you know, variety, or like being able to, like, you know, have more than you
just
know,
that
like,
as
just
goals,
things,
and
you know,
you know,
I think like we just, you know, a lot of times I don't know if we like see, you know, that there are other things, that other routes.
That's the thing. Like, we don't see these people, and that's why we have a responsibility, because it's important.
Oh, that's what I was about.
Yeah, it's important because you think about it, like you said, the reason why kids out there like want to be ball players, want to be rappers, want to be drug dealers, because that's all they see making it. That's the only way they see people get out of the hood. They don't see people like us who in corporate America doing our thing, corporate thugging, really getting to it, really, you know, pushing the narrative and breaking boundaries. So it's like a responsibility for us to let you know, be known that like, you can be like this, we could do this, you could be a firefighter, you could be a pilot. That's another thing that's on my list. I'm actually about to sign up to get a pilot's license, because you know what, there ain't that many black people that know how to fly a plane. So let me go learn. It's just a class like anything else. You pay your money, you put the hours in, you take the practicals in, and then you can fly planes. It's like, I never even thought I could learn something like that. Like, I didn't think that was available to me. But all you can do is go on Google and find out. There's a flight school right in Delaware. You can sign up for it. So it's like, I'm trying to do things like that.
That's crazy.
Like, I'm trying to do things like that that's gonna change the way people think about what they can achieve. Yo, you can do anything. I know, obviously, lack of resources, lack of money, sometimes that could be a thing, but when there's a will, there's a way. They got grants, they got this, they got that. We can figure it out. So it's like, it's really important for people like us to go back to the community and show the fact that, look, I know this looks cool and that looks tough, but there's a bunch of other ways, and I'm making paper, like for real paper. Like, you could really, I'm traveling, I'm doing this, I'm getting this popping. You can be like that. So yeah, it's definitely, I think that all of us have a greater responsibility to kind of show, like, it's a million and one ways to get it done, but you just got to get it done.
Yeah. And I think you had brought me back to one of the points that I was trying to make, was that as far as like what we saw with being cool, and like you had touched on, like, you know, finding a mentor. So one of the things I think that I found was that the books that I was reading, it was almost like finding mentors within the books. So like finding mentors within the resources that we have. So like, maybe you might not necessarily have somebody in your community or somebody like at reach, like, you know, that you can just like call, you can, you know, go next door, you know what I mean, and like talk to your neighbor and say like, hey, like, I didn't know that you did this, and this. But like, being able to find those, you can find those people, like, you know, within other, you can find those ideologies, you can find that advice in different resources.
That's dope.
You know what I mean?
Never thought about it like that. You're right, though.
And what you had touched on too was, you know, going back to the community. So one of the things that I wanted to do with this was like to give that, you know what I mean? So it's
this
like,
is a resource. You can come watch these things and acquire knowledge that you never had access to, which is a beautiful thing. 100%.
Exactly. So that was like one of the main things, like just being able to, you know, get people to like yeah, like younger people, or I mean anybody for real, like just come to this and be like, oh, like wow, I didn't know that, like, you know, people are doing these type of things, or like, you know, people are having these conversations, and, you know, knowing that like it's cool to do certain things other than, you know what I mean, like
Then the
what might
narrative,
be,
or you know, what is the standard, I guess, is definitely a fact.
I don't know if you I don't know how can I I wanted to ask you something, but I can cut it out of
Yeah, no, I'm down for whatever.
So I wanted to talk to you about like the importance of like having your fiance, and like y'all both like were going, did y'all go through Europe at the same time?
Yeah.
It's like how was that? Like I feel like it was probably like, was it, I'm sure it was helpful, but like, you know what I mean, just being able to have a partner that's on the same page as you, that are like, that's still like y'all both are like grinding towards something, like how helpful was it, you know what I mean?
It was, you can't put a value to it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right, like when I entered the program, I was a knucklehead kid who was, you know what I mean, I was running around doing my thing, acting a fool, whatever, you know, still working a regular job because obviously I have a family support, but I was wilding out. And my first impression of the program for like the first couple of weeks was, this is hella corny. Like I don't think I want to do this. This is weird, like for real.
Yeah.
And
it was like, did y'all have to do like icebreakers or something like that? Like certain
bro,
stuff? Where it was just
icebreaker, you had to dress up, you had to be there every day a certain time. Like if you wasn't there on time, you get infractions. Like it kind of took me back to like being in middle school or something, and I just felt so corny for that. Like this is so whack. You know, we had to sit in groups, do icebreakers. We had morning meetings. We had to on Fridays we had to do like feedback sessions where everybody had to share positive and negative feedback about each other and like all this stuff. And I just really was not into it. And she kept me level-headed because at the end of the day, like I had the tools and the skills to be very successful in it. It was just my attitude was messed up. And she, you know, she kept my attitude in check. And I think a big thing about having, it doesn't even have to be like a partner, but just having somebody that you can count on is so important, because they're going to tell you when you tripping. They're going to tell you when you acting out. They're going to tell you like, yo, level set. Like, I mean, reset, be cool. Like, they're going to keep you in that pocket that you need to be in. And if it wasn't for her, I might have dropped out the program early. So like, she got me through it, and then I changed my attitude. And once I changed my attitude, that's when everything started to come together. I started excelling, and everything started killing the program. And it brought a new joy to me to be so successful in the program, and it just made me push harder and harder and harder. And I kind of, like I said, I took that same thing to interest, that same mindset, and it's like, I'm so thankful, not only for the program, but for her, for allowing me to realize that change in myself. Because once that switch turned on, it was no going back, and it's all culminated to who I am now. Like, people don't even believe me when I say I'm 25. They're like, 25, you too professional, you too this, you sound so, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm still, for real, all intents and purposes, a really young kid person, for real. Like, we adults, but we kids, for real, for a while. And everything, man, I'm just thankful, you know what I'm saying? I'm just thankful, I'm blessed, and I'm happy for, you know, her, and happy for what we was able to accomplish together and what we're going to continue to accomplish. So, again, just to close it off with that, like, invaluable, bro. It's like people, like, it's certain people that I know in the program who didn't have that type of support or that type of background. They didn't make it. They didn't last. And that's the difference. So
for sure. Bro, you had touched on one thing, and you said there was an attitude change. One thing that I've been like looking into is like, well, I guess like, so when it, I think, so I and you had touched on it earlier too, but our minds like, oh yeah, that's what you were talking about, like being like wanting to do the easy route, you know what I mean? Like sometimes our brains, like we don't necessarily want change, you know what I mean? And we don't like,
change is uncomfortable,
and our brain, it almost like fights us, like it's like, nah, like don't do that, like don't do these things, don't do these, don't do something new, you know what I mean? Like stick to what we know, stick to what's comfortable.
It's comfortable and easy for us.
Was that like was that, I guess, the attitude change where you was just like, let me like dive into it, like that it's just like switch off? Like
I know there was what they did, a psychological study, right, on how we form habits. So I think you do something for 21 days, right, and then you'll just start to do it. without even thinking about it. So it's kind of that same concept where like I went into it with a piss poor attitude, and as I continued to do these things over and over, right, I started to feel slightly different about it. At like, you know, the praise that I would get and the success that I was seeing would slowly make me feel better about the things we're doing. So like, we're doing something, I'm thinking it's corny, and then, you know, oh, I say something valuable, or I say something that somebody gives me praise for. That makes me feel good about myself, because it's like, at this point in my life, it's not many things that's going on in my life that I can feel good about. There's nothing really that I'm doing that I or anybody else should feel proud about. And we don't think about it in the moment as we're experiencing life, but like being in the program, it made me really think about that. So it was important to me to find something to be proud about. So like, that also aided to that slow change. But after being there like for a month or so, starting to realize that these things that I thought was so corny, I'm seeing the fruits of it. Like, I'm understanding why they're saying it's important. I'm understanding why we do these things, and I'm seeing the results of doing these things. It's making me feel better about myself, it's making me feel proud. And it's an everyday slow shift. But one day you just wake up and you're like, damn, I'm just doing it now, like, right? Because it's a habit now. Like, I'm just doing it, and I'm seeing why it's important. And when you put it like that, it's like, regardless of what your brain sees, like, you get it. And then when you get it, your brain gets it. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like, it's really just like a switch. It's like waking up in the morning and turning the lights on. My lights was off for so long, and now it's on, and I can't turn it back off now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's a saying too, it's like, once a man realizes something, he can't unrealize it. And that's kind of how it is, I think. So, I mean, you got to be persistent and disciplined, and got to give it time. And then, I mean, it can happen for anybody. Any mindset, any change you need to make in your life. Whether it's mindset, whether it's something physical, whether you're trying to get healthier, whether you want to change your diet, maybe let's say you're on drugs and you want to stop drugs. All the same, it's all the same. You approach it the same way. And, you know, when you come on the end of it, you'll see like, oh yeah, this is better for me. I'm seeing results. And then that switch goes. And then it becomes a part of your life.
Damn. Yeah. I definitely feel that, bro. I think for me it's been, I feel like I know, like, I think, I feel like a lot of it, like, recently, like, I guess, like, this first year of it being in this program, like, I've been, like, it's been, like, really, like, difficult, like, fight, you know, as far as, like...
Well, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but as you said program, is it the set?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you was set. Oh, man, that's cool. Yeah, I know all about that stuff. Yeah. That's dope. Yeah, man, you like it, right?
Yeah, it's tough. So, like, going through that, right, and then, so, like, I'm in, like, a year in now, I feel like, so that first year was, like, really challenging, I guess, like, just as far as, you know, getting into that mindset and, like, being able to, like, all right, like, this is what I want to do. But, like, now I think I got to this place where it's, like, that switch, like, what you talking about, where it's, like, all right, like, this is where I'm at, and, like, this is where I want to be, and, like, let me, like, you know, pretty much, like, dive into it, you know what I mean? Or, like, lock in with it and, like, just, like, really, like, focus in on it. And that was, like, that just made me think about that. But the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was, because you had talked about, like, the program that you were going through, and they were talking, like, they were having y'all do, like, certain, like, little, like, icebreaker type stuff, or, like, you know, you're talking about, like, giving feedback on, was it Fridays you said?
Yeah.
But I think I was reading the article, and one of the articles on the year program, and they were talking about, like, you have to sign, like, a contract or something like that before you go in, like, that you're going to abide by, like, these standards, I guess, like that. Like, what was that?
So that's like, remember when I was talking about the infractions? Yeah, so that's all related. So it's a contract. The contract just states, like, some basic stuff, right? Like the rules or whatever. Like, you got to be here on time. You got to dress a certain way. You got to act in a certain way. If you do certain things, then you'll get infractions. You know, you can't miss work. You can't miss days. Like, you got to be here for this amount of time. You got to, you know, get a certain grade, because you get college courses as well. Like, it's a partner with Wilmington University, and Europe's all over the country, so they have different partners with different colleges. And you basically, you know, you got to get a certain grades in these classes, and there's just all these different things that you have to abide by and do. And when you sign the contract, it's basically like, there's so many points that you get in the beginning, and every time you get an infraction, every time you do something that you're not supposed to do or whatever, you get points taken away. You drop below a certain point, or you breaking your contract, you get kicked out. Like, you're not here to waste time. Like, people are here to change their life, try to do better for themselves. So you gotta be serious. And I mean, should take it serious. People need to take stuff seriously, man. It's not a joke or a game. And I mean, the contract's not too crazy. I mean, like I said, I had a piss poor attitude, which made me feel like it was corny. But the truth is, it's not nothing really nothing that nobody else expects from you. I want you to be on time. I want you to be dressed nice. You know, if you dress professionally. I want you have to participate. You have to get a certain, grade and do a certain amount of work. It's nothing out of the ordinary, nothing out of what, a job would expect from you. And that's the whole point. Like, it's a little bit more extra, but it's just so that you can be overly prepared for any professional situation that you get yourself in, right?
Yeah.
We addressing business, professional, ties to the nines, everything. Because for the most part now, when you go to corporate, you're not required to dress like that.
Yeah, right.
But just in case you are, you know how to, and you can do it well. And it's not going to be an issue for you, right? And you make sure you're here at a certain time early, so you'll always be on time. That'll just be ingrained into you. You know what I'm saying? Certain things you do. Always, if you have a meeting, always go with a notebook and pen, just in case you need to take notes. People notice that. Always speak up, add value. If you walk into a room, if you're in a meeting, announce who you are. Always say who you are before you say anything, so people know who you are. It's important, right? Like, little things, little changes, little things you can add that just kind of bring that professionalism up. And it's funny because actually, when I came from internship, something I noticed, and this is not like a shot at anybody, but we just carried ourselves with a different level of professionalism than most people who probably been there in the positions for years, feel comfortable. You know what I mean? We just had a different level that we brought to it, and people noticed that, people seen it. So it's like we always kind of stuck out like a sore thumb during internship, like, oh yeah, that's a Europe kid, like, we know what's going on.
I feel like we was talking about it a little bit, I think, like, before we had started recording, but I guess, like, do you like go out, like, cause you seem like pretty, like, solid when it comes to, like, all right, I like to do these things, and then, like, I'm working, like, I think we had talked a little bit about, like, work-life balance, I think, like, in the beginning, but yeah, like, do you, like, like, do you, like, the fun things, I guess?
Oh, like, yeah, man, look, honestly, it's funny, because I just started this, like, health journey. So I lost like 45 pounds. Word. So I just quit drinking. Like, I'm not drinking right now. Like, I might have like I watch football on Sunday. I might have like a vodka seltzer or something.
I don't even drink.
I'm not missing nothing, bro.
Yeah. Well, so I have drank, but the thing is, I realize now, and it might, I don't know. Like, I was reading about, like, these and I don't know if it's true or not, but it was like a article where they were talking about how I think humans are starting to evolve to the point where, like, they have a different reaction to alcohol. So they were talking about, like, some people, like, they have, like, really, like, bad reactions to alcohol where they get, like, super sick. And so recently when I started, like, drinking, like,
you getting sick?
You
know what? It's funny you say that, because I feel like when I was younger, bro, I could stay up till 4 a.m, get obliterated, then wake up at 6 and go to work or do whatever I need to do like it was nothing. Bro, I get drunk like that.
Age,
nah, bro, I feel like I am dying. Like, kill me, somebody killed me, I can't do anything. So it's like, yeah, like, I cut the drinking out a bit, but yeah, I still do fun things. Like, I'm going to a shout out to Joyride, Denim Bar Boutique out in Wilmington on Market Street. They having a fashion show on Sunday, so we going to the fashion show. We gonna get all dressed up, all crazy. Yeah. Throw some real Glee stuff on and do that. But yeah, we do all types of stuff, man. I mean, we go to the bars, we go to clubs, concerts, fashion shows. I try to find cool little stuff that most people don't do or don't recognize. I go to, like, might do like a wine tasting or something.
That's something that I want to do too.
Yeah, it's dope. You gotta go to one where you at the vineyard.
But then the thing is, I'm trying not to drink.
Yeah, true. But nah, but like the little tasters, they like you're not too bad. But don't drink all of them. You gonna end up drunk anyway. But yeah, just all different types of stuff, man. Like, little things that they be having at, like, the Opera House, trying to find plays. My girl really likes like the, what do they call them? I was never really into it, but she kind of turned me out. What is it? Like the musicals, like the Nutcracker and stuff like that. She loves stuff like that, so we'll go do stuff like that. Or
they have those in those.
Yeah, it's there's a playhouse up in Westchester, I think. I don't know the name of it. Don't let me quote, but they do it every year around Christmas time. I never really celebrated holidays when I was younger because of like my parents' religious stuff. But now, like, you know, my girl always been big on holidays, so now like I'm getting into the holiday thing, and that's fun and new for me. It kind of makes me feel like a big kid.
That's what's up.
And then I think the next thing we doing that's probably pretty big is going to Disneyland. So my girl been there, or I don't know if it's Disneyland or Disney World, whatever, the one that's in Florida. She been there multiple times, so she's gonna take me and my son for the first time. We're gonna be big kids together.
That's what's
So
up,
yeah,
man.
so stuff. Yeah, I definitely have fun. I mean, I get my like I said, I go fishing in the morning, so I get it out before I do anything. I get my work day, then after that, I have my family time.
Where you go fishing at? Is that
Everywhere, bro.
Yeah.
I got all these little like neighborhood ponds in the woods, creeks. You know, White Clay Creek, Brandywine.
You do any like hiking or?
Yeah, we do that sometimes too, especially like most of the time if we want to just walk around and enjoy nature, we'll go to Alapocus.
Yeah.
And just walk around there. But I definitely want to do some travel related stuff that goes like around hiking, like going out to like Arizona or Nevada or some places like that. See some cool stuff.
But my bad, I think you had talked about like your journey as far as the weight and like you know, like, so what you've been doing to get to that. Like you said, you lost 40. So
really what happened was I had the COVID, right, and like I couldn't eat for like 15 days. I was dying, bro. I was throwing up everything crazy. So like I lost like pretty much half that weight from that. And I don't know, it just turned to switch in me. Like I felt like as a 25-year-old man, I really felt like, yo, like COVID really shouldn't have kicked my ass like that. And it just kind of made me feel like, you know, I got a responsibility. I got kids, I got family, people depend on me. So I just was a little too close for comfort. So it really made me think like, oh, you got to turn this around. Like you got to get right. So then I just started going like, cut out all sodas, juices. I only drink water, sparkling water. Cut out the alcohol, don't smoke, nothing like that. Basically start doing like little workout stuff, going to the gym now. And then like my mans that I be going fishing with, he chiseled up. So he used to be like a trainer. Now he's it's funny. He used to be, he started his career at the YMCA as a personal trainer. And now he's a senior executive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he'd train me for free, so we be getting it in. And I just, you know, try to eat right. Like I don't eat a lot, don't overeat, make sure I eat a lot of vegetables, fruits, just regular stuff. I'm not on like no crazy diet plan or nothing, but like we know what's good to eat and we know how much we should eat. I don't eat to be full. I used to just pile stuff on the plate and just go crazy. Like, nah, I don't do none of that no more, so.
Yeah, I had, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but intermittent fasting.
Yeah, I fast too.
I was doing that for a little minute. Like it might have been about a year I think I was doing it. But I had like maybe not just stopped, but maybe like back in June I think I stopped doing it. But fasting, I think it like, I noticed like now that I'm eating, you know, like I'm back to you now. I'm like what you were talking about. Like I'm just eating to like be full, but I'm not like, you know, like going crazy, you know what I mean? Like I definitely was doing that too. And then the other thing though, one big thing for me right now, and I feel like it's also been helping as far as like my focus and like the persistence that I have, like as far as like working, is running. Like I'm real big on like long distance running.
Word. So you did like cross country when you was
Yeah. So I did cross country. I only did cross country my senior year in high school, but it like I think that was I don't know if I started running and then started doing cross country or if it came like I don't know which one came first, but yeah, it's like something about like the monotony of running, especially like when you're on a treadmill, where it's like you gotta be able to like focus in on like
I be
you know
bored,
what I mean?
bro.
That's what I'm saying.
So bored. I be like I can't do it. Like it's not even like I can't physically do it. I just like my brain. I need to be active. So like I do two types of things. So like I do strength training with the weights, and then I also do shout out to Alpha Training. It's like a little warehouse gym type situation, and there's this boot camp that this dude Andre runs. And
I wonder if I know what you're talking about.
It's on Brookside. You know, Brookside in Newark.
Oh, it's Newark. Okay, no, I'm
It's
thinking
in
about
Newark.
Wilmington. It's just other like CrossFit type training.
It's kind of like that,
yeah,
but like it's like stations, and you constantly moving. So you constantly doing one thing from another, doing suicides, running, doing all this, and it's like I don't have no issue with that because I'm constantly busy, and like especially because the type of fishing I do, It's not like a waiting thing. I'm constantly doing something. So I need to be consistently doing something so my brain is cool. But like when you're just running outside or you running on a treadmill, like I'll run 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh God damn, this is like looking around like I don't want to, like what? How do people do this? So like I got a lot of respect for long distance running because bro, that joint, I be tapped out like man, I can't do this.
I've been trying to do 10, but like it must have been
10
like
miles?
but last week I did 7. So
is
7
still-
is like
that's
right.
like 3 5Ks.
And it took me an hour to do it, right? So it's like an hour, and I'm on a treadmill.
It took you an hour to do 7 miles. That's not a long time, bro. It's some people that can run. There's some people that take 30 minutes to run a mile, bro.
That's true.
That's crazy.
That's true. I didn't even think about it that way.
Nah, that sounds fast to me. I don't know.
But just the fact that like like within that hour, like I mean I do listen to music, or I might like listen to a podcast or something like that. But like it gets to that point where it's just like fuck, like am I really gonna like keep going?
running?
You know what I mean? Like, and then like being able to get over those like those periods where you like yo I'm tired, like I'm you know what I mean, and like being able to like fight through those points. So like I think that like mental conditioning is something that like it's beneficial.
Because you
like,
apply
know what I mean?
to everything in your life, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So like that's one of those things. And then I was reading about it, and I'm like, I couldn't like pinpoint the changes that I've experienced, like my brain as far as running. But they say that like it increases like some type of like gray matter or some shit. Like they were just pretty much talking about like how it helps with like memory and like your focus and stuff like that. So like I feel like it's been helping me, but of course, like I wouldn't be able to like say like these
but
things.
I mean, I definitely feel like you gotta help your mental endurance, especially like, let's say you working on something at the job where it's really mentally taxing and it's a big project or something like that. You probably have you could probably work on it longer, focus on it longer before you feel mentally exhausted, just because of you being able to overcome those mental leaps and bounds within your running exercises. So. Everything all is cohesive and applies together, and it's really funny. Like we don't notice it, but if you really sit down and think about it, break it down, you can really see how all those things come together and start to change everything about your life. So
yeah, bro. I was gonna ask you like, how do you choose your mentors? Or, like what's the process? I guess for you, like as far as just finding those people, or like. Okay, or so for me it's really two or three important things, and it just depends on again context and what type of mentor it is and what's available to you especially. But number one, right, is again what I was talking about earlier, is like what do they have in their life? Do you want to obtain or be in a place that they're in their life? Because that's important. There's no if you can't say that about your mentor, it shouldn't be your mentor, and that's not always true, because there's certain things that people can offer you that intangibles that are just invaluable. But for the most part, we're talking about a professional person like us trying to choose a professional mentor. It's very important that you can see yourself in their shoes, because obviously again we're trying to get advice and trying to understand how we can obtain what we want in life. And that's the whole point of a mentor, try to really help you with that, help you professionally grow and kind of get where you want to go to. That's number one. Number two is chemistry. Chemistry is important. You can't just pick a mentor because there's some big CEO or they got a lot of money and a big house and whatever. Like, y'all might not be compatible, y'all might not be cohesive, and you can't really learn or get stuff from somebody who you don't have chemistry with. So it's just like a relationship. I mean, everything's a relationship. I know when we say relationship, we think romantic, but that's just one type of relationship, right? Like, this is a relationship, and the same way you gotta have chemistry with your girl, gotta have chemistry with your mentor. Yeah.
So that's number two. And then I think number three is your mentor has to be relatable a lot of times. And that's not always important, but like, especially like for us, like it's important, I think, like to have at least one professional black mentor. Like somebody who is either like somebody that's from Baltimore, lived where you lived, or came from a certain situation like you, or something like that, that you can have that like similarity or that relativeness in your foundation, because you know where you come from and who you are as a person is grounded in your foundation. So
that's deep. Yeah, I like that. I had to write that down. Yeah, because I was like a part of like what you were talking about as far as like being relatable and like, you know, having some sort of chemistry. I think I had like, I was trying to have a mentor, trying to develop a mentor like relationship, I guess, with someone, but I realized that like we weren't like, you know, compatible. You know what I mean? It was like, and it might have been like, because we might have been like too close in age. I think he might be like a year older, but it was just like, we would get on like a, you know, a Zoom call, or like we were doing a one-on-one, and it was just like nah, like I can't. I'm not. It was just like.
And that's important.
And the stuff, it wasn't like, I don't feel like it was, you know, I was getting a lot of value, you know, what I mean, from it. But it's funny, and I don't even know if I should say it, but I did one of these podcasts with a guy, and he did I think he did 30 years in prison, I think. But the way that he had spent his time while he was in prison, like he just read a whole bunch, like a lot of like history stuff, like Black history, but then he was also reading like a lot of like, you know, of course, like religious stuff as well. Like that's just, I think, calming within.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but I felt like he has, or I feel like he has some, you know, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's like a grounded, I don't even know if that's the right word, but groundedness, or like he's grounded, you know what I mean? And it was like, damn, like he has certain attributes, or like certain perspectives, I guess, that I feel like I could benefit from.
Yeah,
although, you know what I mean?
And that's what I mean, like it doesn't always have to be, obviously I don't know what he's doing in his life now, you know what I'm saying?
I think he's like a barber, but I think he also like does some sort of other business, I think. I think he might own a barbershop, actually.
Okay.
Maybe not.
So like maybe, you know, you don't necessarily see yourself wanting to be an entrepreneur, right, owning a small business like that. So like, again, that's why you gotta be careful about how you take certain things, because like I said, just because he's not some big CEO or doing all this stuff doesn't mean that, oh, you don't see yourself doing what he's doing in life, that he can't be a mentor. Because like I said, if you can gain value and feel like you can grow from some of the insight he has to give you, then that's really more important than, you know, him having all the things you want in life. I think the chemistry piece, the relatable piece, and being able to get value from it is more important than that. But I just like to say that because it is helpful to have a mentor that is where you want to see yourself. But that's the thing, like, you shouldn't just have one mentor. I think a good professional person has to have at least 3 mentors, right? And then you get different things from these different mentors. And it's also, I feel like it's important to note that the mentorship is not like, it's not like going shopping, right? Like, you don't just, oh yeah, that guy looks good, I want you to be my mentor. It's a thing. It's like, you don't just meet a girl and say, you're gonna be my girlfriend. I mean, like, you gotta date your mentor in a sense, right? Like, you gotta date your mentor. You gotta feel each other out. Feel like maybe you vibe with your mentor, but the mentor you see you wanting doesn't vibe with you. That's okay. We're human. So like, you gotta kind of have that dating aspect to it to kind of see, like, will this work? And it won't be a thing where it's like you actively saying, oh, I'm looking for mentorship. It'll just be natural. Like, it'll naturally just happen that way. And then you may have to ask. Most of the time, you probably won't, though. It's like the relationship develops itself and turns into what it's going to be. And
so I know we had touched on a whole lot, but I just wanted to ask, well, not ask, but so the thing that I try to do when I try to like close them is I would just like ask the person to like, you know, give some sort of like, if you can think of anything, like any type of advice, I guess, like to someone that might have came from, you know, like a similar scenario that like we come from, or like where you come from, you know what I mean? Like somebody like, you know, a young person that might not necessarily have the best direction right now, but like, you know, like, you know, I guess, but wants something, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. I think the best advice I could give, right, is a couple of things. Number one, really take what I said about trying to be a good person, and, you know, changing your mindset and changing your individual actions and self-awareness. Take that serious. Really, you know, try to do that, because just doing that every day, starting off, number one, is going to bring higher vibrations and good energy to you and attract the things that you want, right? Number two is, I know it's hard maybe at a younger age, but just try to figure out what you like. Figure out what you have passions about, and then think about ways you can capitalize off those things. Because when you have a passion or you love what you do in life, right, you never work a day in your life. That's what they say. I think that's very true. Like, because my entire goal for real is be able to fish full time, like on the tournament circuit. That's not cool. Like, I like being in corporate America. I'm gonna do that, and I'll keep doing that as long as I need to. But that's really what I want to do, and I'm working on it.
If you could do it like on the, like, you know, 2 days out the week.
Yeah, on the side. Even if I could do it on the side, I mean, yeah, that's lit. Like, I would do that, and I work on that every day. So, number one, do that. Think about that, and then it's like really. How would I put this? Give me a second. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable as your path is being carved out. All right, like how I ended up here is completely unorthodox. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I never thought I would be working in corporate America, nothing like that. But I was trying to be a good person, and I was listening and following the signs. Like, don't be afraid to just be against the grain or do things that are unusual, because the universe is very real. There's signs and there's things that are given to us. You gotta be open and aware of these things, and just kind of be like water a bit, like just flow with it, because, you know, I really truly believe, not necessarily that everybody's destiny is like pre-written and written out, but I think as we flow through the world, right, things will come to us and things leave us, and it's important to just flow with those things, because you're on a path, and people will try to, you know, like degrade that, or if you're going through a hard time, if weird things are happening, they'll try to make you feel bad, but that's your path in life, like, and you gotta follow it and flow through it. And if you have the right intentions and you putting in the work, right, it'll come together. So you gotta let it come together, because when you start trying to force it too hard, that's when it starts going away from you and kind of going against you. So just really try to, you know, just try to be a good person, flow through life, and let things work itself out. But also don't be too lackadaisical about it. You gotta have some type of sense of direction and will and a want of something. But yeah, I think if you kind of follow those things, right, you'll kind of find a good place. You'll find something that will come to you that you can really put your all into, and make something better for yourself, or, you know, just do something better, or be bigger, or greater.
That's tough. It's funny, I had just saw, I don't know who posted it, but it was like the Bruce Lee joint when it was like, be like, wow.
Hey, nah, facts. He wasn't lying when he said that. Like, a lot of the times, like, it's certain periods in my life where it seemed like all hope was lost. Like, oh, what is this kid doing? He's acting crazy. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's not going to make anything of himself. And the reason why I truly believe that is funny, because I talked to a couple of my cousins, my older cousins, and like now that I'm in a really great situation in life, and they're like, bro, we never doubted you for 1 minute. I was like, we know your parents and these people, they put so much pressure on you, and they judged you so hard, but it's like, you smart, bro. You're a good kid. We knew what you were destined for. You just had to work it out on your own. Like nobody could work it out for you. You had to work it out on your own, however that had to be. And look at you now. Like it worked itself out, because you had to go through your own journey. You had to carve out your own path, and that's what I did, and that's why I ended up where I'm at. And I'm continuing to do those things. And now, because I'm older and, you know, a little more mature and a little more professional, I'm more directed with these things, and I have more of a hands-on approach to carving that path out. But as you're figuring it out, man, it's gonna figure itself out. You're gonna fall, you're gonna bump your head, you might get some scrapes on your knees, and you might have to take a little time out for a little bit, but that's all part of the process. It's like what they say, that's the big Philly thing, ain't it? Like trust the process. Trust the process, man.
For real though. Damn. Well, bro, I appreciate it.
Anytime, brother.
This was definitely great, man.